Hello and welcome to Dinis Guarda YouTube podcast show, here powered and in continuation with openbusinesscouncil.org and citiesabc.com. Once again, we continue profiling global leaders and personalities and the ones that make business and technology, I would say, a better narrative, and they bring a better narrative for the world of business and technology, and especially how we can actually look at all the complexities of technology, the complexities of business, and coming up with the streamlining ideas and understanding how these new solutions can actually empower us and create new narratives. And one of the things I've been finding in these interviews is the wealth of knowledge of the personalities I bring here. And this wealth of personalities is the DNA of this show, is about people, is about personalities, and as well about entrepreneurs, doers that change the world and make things happen. So today I welcome to our series Simon Schnieders, that is a serious entrepreneur, SEO, investor, advisor, and mentor for business across various verticals. Simon is the founder and CEO of Blue Arrow, and this is one of the top, probably one of the top global SEO agencies, and the UK most popular and largest specialist SEO agency. So Blue Arrow is a B Corp, offering a unique approach, and they created the trademark consulgency. We're going to talk about that services, a hybrid of consultancy and agency. And the clients include startups, scale-up and incumbents, such as Simple Business, Rack, Funding Circle, Floom, and many more. Blue Arrow also published in the Amazon best-selling Mastering In-House SEO series, compiling contributions from 26 leading in-house SEO experts on topics ranging from successful case studies, getting tactics and strategy implemented, community building, and much more. Some of the events that Blue Arrow organized included Reading SEO and London SEO Meetup, the capital largest monthly SEO meetup. And Blue Arrow also provides e-learning via the Blue Arrow Academy and an SEO training course with certification. As an SEO expert and as well as an industry leader, Simon has led in-house SEO teams at major companies such as Zoopla, Mail Online, European Directories, and DL.com. Simon is also an angel investor and advisor to companies like ClickMechanics.com, Baked In, Sonic Jobs, and SafeBuy. As a personality in the industry, he as well has been being a mentor at startup accelerators, including 500 Startups, Maths Challenge UK, Wire, Tech Hub, and Mayer's International Business Program, which is designed to fit every specific international growth ambition to fast-growing post-revenue companies in London. Simon is has a business degree in business and computing from the University of Surrey, and outside of work, he serves as a trustee of the homeless charity New Beginnings in Reading, UK. The organization is dedicated to prevention and relief of poverty and financial hardship. Welcome to our series, Simon.
Wow, so it makes me sound quite important, doesn't it?
You are important.
just a regular guy. Yeah.
No, you are quite humble, but your work is impressive. And I want to start with because what you guys are doing is really impressive on a lot of levels. I want to touch different things, but let me start with so in your background, because you have three areas that I really respect. One, I think, is you as an entrepreneur. The other one is as a personality in the industry, and further as well as a person that has a very strong social impact side. For instance, Blue Arrow is a B Corp, and I'll explain. One of the questions is, what is the B Corp? Because a lot of people don't know. But in the SEO industry, so search engine optimization, you are, of course, a legend. And one of the things I've been finding is how difficult it is to do this and as well to put this together. So between these different areas that you've been doing, is there any history on your background, or if you want to talk about your background, education, a teacher, someone that made a bit who you are today? Because it's one of the things I like to start my interviews. And I know each person is different. Sometimes it's an accident, sometimes is a personality, sometimes as well is a passion or a frustration. So I would like to hear from you on your history.
Yeah, I think probably the background that I had is very relevant to my present state, and that's well, it's something I've been quite open about on LinkedIn anyways. As for the longest time, I'm talking decades, I was an alcoholic, and I think being an alcoholic, having that obsessive, compulsive personality, rather than focusing it on alcohol, I've focused it on the world of business, and growing a business in that way. So I think I'm probably 20 years sober now. Prior to that, I had a very difficult time with alcohol, I would say. I sort of was driven by it, and lots of the decisions I made in my early years were surrounded by access to alcohol. So I say that that's fundamentally what sort of shaped who I am today, is my experience of being an alcoholic, coming through recovery of alcoholism as well, and then trying to lead a balanced and normal life, which means, yes, it's quite helpful at times to be obsessive about things, but it also you have to be careful about becoming too obsessed with things, for instance, and having that healthy balance between work and life as well. So, and it's something I do struggle with continually as well, is things that I can quite easily become obsessed with, but making sure that it's done in a healthy way. So I guess that fundamentally is the background that I come from, and one that sort of shaped who I am today.
Well, thank you so much for sharing that, and as well for opening about that. I know that is a powerful, first of all, a powerful accomplishment that you passed that challenge, but as well that you recognize and you share that with public, and I think it's the first time we've been having someone going so personal, although I've been interviewing 3 other people. So, Simon, I would like to touch the one direction is from that process, from of course, when you become alcoholic and then you left being alcoholic, what was the energy and the scope that made you so successful at the same time, and how you deal with that past and the present? Because I think, especially for people listening to us, and even people I speak worldwide, I've been teaching a lot of people, universities and students, and normally there's I would say at the moment the biggest challenge is how you use your energy to move forward and to get out of the struggles that you're facing. And this is a key element for business, technology, and entrepreneurship, but for anyone listening to us. So I would like to touch, how do you persevere and then you accomplish so much?
Yes, you need to have a hunger or burning desire to want to achieve something, and then it's about executing on that vision. So, taking deliberate steps in order to achieve that. So I think I've always had, long-term vision on things. So for me to ultimately get where I am today, which was wanting to have my own agency, I needed to take certain steps to achieve that. And so one of those steps was to start to build a name for myself in the UK. So I was very, for instance, deliberate about the kind of jobs that I took. I would only take jobs, for instance, within the SEO field where I knew I could be impactful. So I knew that there was a clear and present opportunity for me to drive significant change for this organization, which would help build my career, as well as my network. So, the steps to getting to start an agency were very clear and very deliberate, for me anyway. So it's always about, I've got this vision, I know what I want to achieve, and then what are the steps I need to take? What are the tactics I need to put into place to achieve that? So strategic goal, tactics to achieve it, I think is absolutely critical. But you've got to have a plan, you've got to execute on that plan, and you've got to be disciplined, incredibly disciplined about that sort of thing as well. I mean, I'll give you some example of the kind of disciplines you need. I've had, as I was starting that journey, going down on the career ladder, getting a name for myself, I would turn down jobs that were offering significantly more money because I didn't have a clear vision for what I could do for that business. I didn't see the opportunity to really change that business. So unless I saw that, then I wouldn't take that opportunity. And I turned down some really great opportunities during my career because I didn't think I could be impactful there. I also thought there were certain organizations where they wouldn't be able to implement the recommendations that I was making. So I would, make sure that before I took that role, that they would be able to execute it on. They had the development resource to implement my recommendations, for instance, would be another deliberate thing I'd be looking for. And then when I was scaling the agency as well, I knew that the death of most agencies is that they become too dependent on one client. So as I grew the agency, we had a rule that we would never take a client that would represent more than 20% of fee income, which meant in the early days of the business, we turned down some really big customers, some really big names that would have allowed me short term to profit quite healthily from those companies. But we decided, or I decided that particular misstep was something we would avoid at all costs. So, as I say, it's about having that clear vision and being deliberate about the steps you're going to take to ensure that success. Yeah.
So, and I completely subscribe around that. So one of the things, like you mentioned, is the focus. So let's go to your history with SEO. So for people listening to us, of course, search engine optimization is a massive industry worldwide. It's probably not so well known unless you are in the digital marketing, but it's a key element for anything about digital, anything online, to be honest. And it's becoming more important than ever. You can talk about search engine optimization. You can talk about total internet optimization. There's a lot of subnames, but it's still organic search. So, Simon, as a global expert, first of all, how did it start your passion with SEO? And tell us about SEO, because of course you are a master on this, and I would love to hear. And this is one of my passions as well. And I didn't actually highlight it too much in this series. So for people listening to us, everyone should know about this because it touches everyone.
Yeah, I mean, we work with lots of very successful organizations who have a dependency on SEO, and so for some of them it represents 60 to 80% of their overall traffic and acquisition. So for some organizations, it's absolutely everything. And while that might sound scary, building a dependency on a third party such as Google primarily to drive all of your traffic and acquisitions, these are companies that are very healthy. They're publicly listed. I've worked in companies myself that have had billion-dollar IPOs as a result of SEO. So, yeah, SEO is something that you can build businesses around. It's sustainable as long as it's done in the right way, and that's what we do at Blue Array is build those sustainable SEO strategies in the right way. You asked me about how I started in the industry, so I'll just labor that for a little bit, which is that no one comes into this industry deliberately. It's pretty much always by accident. So I was bartending at the time at a place in Miami called the Ritz, I think was the name of the hotel. So it was on Collins Avenue there. And I overheard an English accent at the bar, which was quite unusual at that time. Me being English, I tuned into it. And what this guy was there for is he was rewarding his affiliates. So he was a casino affiliate operator, and he was rewarding his casino affiliates with a trip to Miami, keys to brand new sports cars, and cruises around the Caribbean. And the guys that he was rewarding were in their early 20s. And I got chatting to a few of them, and what they were doing was driving traffic to this guy's casino and earning a percentage of the players' losses when they convert. And of course, it's a mugs game. The house always wins. So some of them were taking home in the region of sort of $250,000, $500,000 per month in affiliate commissions, driving traffic to this guy's casino. And obviously that's why he's rewarding them with cruises around the Caribbean and keys to brand new sports cars. He wants to make sure that he's continuing to get this great traffic from them. But I figured these guys are not doing anything that I couldn't do. So I started to spend some time there was only one forum around at that time called Digital Point, which is a collection of degenerates like me, I guess, who were trying to get to grips with SEO and seeing what was working, what wasn't working. And then I got involved with a small community around Miami as well, who were largely all in the affiliate business. So driving traffic through to websites in exchange for commissions once that traffic converted. So that's how I started in the industry, and I've never looked back. I mean, I used to spend my evenings doing building websites and crafting my skills with SEO. And then I hit jackpot, I think about 6 months into doing this. So as I say, spending all of my evenings and weekends crafting my skills. And sort of 6 months in, I got pretty much the number one keyword in America, online casino, ranking within the top 3. And I was earning phenomenal money at a very young age off the back of that. So that's how I started in the industry. The US government subsequently then outlawed online gambling because they couldn't tax it because it was all offshore. So that ended that relatively quickly. I had 6 to 12 months of earning phenomenally good money. And then I started to realize people were getting wind of how effective SEO could be for companies, and started to help out companies. And at that time came back to the UK to also sober up. And my first job, I think, was Yale.com, working for them. So the yellow pages in the UK, and took them from sort of nowhere really to to delivering millions of visits via SEO. And back then it was relatively easy. I mean, they had a web page which couldn't be crawled by search engine spiders. So all I did was put some links in there to allow the site to be crawled properly, and that delivered I think it was a 3,000% increase in traffic to that particular site. So yeah, SEO in those days was a lot easier. The opportunities to improve websites were, to me anyway, very stark and clear. So yeah, that's a little bit about my history anyway. So I fell into it by accident, I would say. I overhearing a conversation at a bar that sparked something in me that I thought, well, these guys are not doing anything I can't do. They're no more intelligent than I am, so I'm going to spend some time figuring out how they're doing what they're doing and replicate that success. So yeah.
Well, and it's a massive success that you keep on going. So, and as well, so from that success working in SEO, and for people listening to us, we're going to touch much more about what is SEO and how it works. And I think really, there's, of course, you can go to Blue Array, and there's quite a lot of research in their website. So how did you went from working with big brands and with these successes to create your own company, and of course making it the leading SEO agency in the UK?
So I was relatively risk averse in the sense of I didn't just suddenly decide, right, I'm going to go for it, I'm going to start my agency and all chips in. It was more I just had a great network that I built over many years of working in-house for companies. And I kept getting requests from people for consultancy work. And so I turned a few of those requests into, if I were to start an agency, would you sign a 12-month contract with me? And enough of them said yes, that led me to then start the agency. And I started with one employee, a guy called Tom Paul, who thankfully still works for me. He's probably mine and Blue Array's greatest success story. And I took him on board as an apprentice, and he now leads the technical SEO team. He does advanced SEO training at places like Brighton SEO, and is on stage speaking in front of thousands of people. So he's been a real success story for me. But they're my first employee. So that was some 9 years ago now. That he came on board with me. But I sort of grew the business, as I say, very deliberately, not taking on clients that were too big, where we were going to have to build a dependency on them. But the business really grew customer by customer, employee by employee, desk by desk. I mean, that's literally how I grew until we couldn't get any more desks. We got to a stage where I was in a co-working space where they said, you're getting too big, we're gonna have to kick you out. And I then went to serviced offices, then went to leased offices. And as a result of COVID, we're back in a co-working space. But there's a new premises that we're looking at, which is actually going to be high street presence, which is very exciting for us. But the business has grown primarily off the back of happy customers referring more happy customers, which sounds a bit prehistoric in the modern digital age, but that's genuinely how the business grows. We've got very, very happy customers who refer more happy customers, and that's primarily how we grow the business.
Well, that's quite impressive. And well, first of all, congratulations for what you achieve. And I think this kind of element is how you start, well, a very humbled way, but you have quite a big agency that is right now a leading one with a lot of employees, but as well with some major global clients. So tell us about Blue Array for people that don't know about it, how you guys work, and some of the highlights. And I would like, of course, to touch why you choose to be a B Corp, because it's a very interesting concept that I really admire. And it's quite difficult, and it's a very social impact driven, but you can explain us.
Yeah, so I'll start with the latter question. So we have something called a triple bottom line, which is that we focus on people, planet, and profit in that order as well. So profitability for us is a natural consequence of focusing on our people first and foremost. And then if we're not looking after the planet with what we do, then we don't, for me, it isn't a purposeful business. So becoming a B Corp is an incredibly exhausting process. I think at the time we were applying, my MD was leading that particular process, and it took almost 30%, I would say, of her time completely focused on that for a year, making sure that we were a business that could pass what's very, very stringent acceptance criteria. So for us, it's important that we are able to reflect externally the kind of business that we are internally, and B Corp was definitely part of that process. On the people side of things, I mean, some demonstration to how seriously we take the people side of things, we will always sacrifice profit ahead of people, which is very unusual for a business, but it's my business and I can run it how I want to. And how I want to run it is that, for instance, in the depths of 2020 during COVID, where everybody was being made redundant, we made no redundancies at all. We kept everybody in the business, but we sacrificed profitability. And this year as well, we've had a difficult year. It's been a recessionary year, macro factors at play. Nothing I can do about those things, and they're quite cyclical and happen. But again, lots of other industry agencies were making lots of redundancies. We made no redundancies and have made no profit this year. So I'm not answerable to anybody except myself, which is a nice position to be in. And as a result of that, I can run my business how I want to. And I choose to run my business thinking about the people that work for me ahead of profitability, which sounds strange, but as I say, it's my business to run how I wish. And that's the way I like to run a business anyway. As I say, if you focus on your people and you look after your people, as a natural consequence of that, sales and profitability follow, and that's been true for us as well. As I say, we've managed to grow and scale a business off the back of our focus on people and the people in the business. I'm not really involved in day-to-day operational anymore. I'm certainly not involved in client account management, but I have an incredible team who do a really great job there. So, I mean, just to touch on SEO a little bit and Blue Array, we're the UK's largest specialist SEO agency. So in terms of headcount, turnover, or those sort of things, there's no other agency in the UK that has quite the numbers that we do, or the clients that we do. And that sort of gives us some kind of uniqueness in the marketplace, but it also makes us an industry leader, and we take that responsibility very seriously as well. So how do we maneuver our industry forward? There's two ways you can go as an industry leader. You can either be constantly looking backwards at ankle biters, trying to push those off, or you can decide, actually, we're going to do what we can to drive the industry forward and allow competition to come up with us as well, because competition is healthy. It's a good thing to have competition, and you should relish competition as a business owner. So so for us, competition is about how do we drive everybody forward to have SEO recognized as a serious performance channel. And I think that's the bit that we struggle with SEO at the moment, is that, and we have done for many years, is that it's very much seen as a dark art. It's something where no one quite understands it really, and those that do understand it don't tend to do a very good job of conveying what they do. But I think as an industry, if we start to become more performance driven, in that you only really start to see the results from SEO as a customer when your agency or individual practitioner is bedded into the success with you. And that's where we want to take the industry anyway. We want agencies to have some serious skin in the game, and then give them the tools to be able to do that, to be able to have less of a dependency on the human side of things. If we can automate more of what we do, then the costs reduce. And as a result of that, you can allow your customers to take a performance model with you. At the moment, our industry is very human driven. It's very, there's a lot of human intelligence behind it. If we can start to bring in some artificial intelligence, then we start to reduce the costs associated with SEO. If we start to reduce the costs associated with SEO, we can pass those cost savings on to our customers and actually start to charge them when we start to deliver success for them. Whereas at the moment, as I say, customers who go on board with SEO, whether you're hiring an individual practitioner or you're hiring an agency, it's a bit of a punt. You know, you're not sure whether or not you're going to get success from this, but you know historically that this individual or this agency has delivered success for other clients. So there's a good indication that you're going to get strong return on investment, but it's still a punt, you know. So if we can take that away, then it becomes a serious performance channel and worthy of greater investment. So that's where we're trying to take the industry anyway.
Well, first of all, it's really impressive what you said about the way you've been working with your teams, and as well the efforts you've been having. I respect that. I'm partly the same, because everything I did, I kept control, and it's a big price. So I respect that, and kudos for that. And second, as well, the efforts you've been doing on your team and keeping that, which is not easy, because you have to keep building, you have to keep pushing, and as well, there's good moments and bad moments. So it's a very big challenge for any business. So I want to touch, and of course, Blue Array, for people listening to us, you just need to go to the website, and we'll put all the links here as we speak. It really has very big partners, very big clients, and I mentioned something in the bio. So the industry, as you touch, has been going for a lot of challenges. Of course, at the moment, we are in you mentioned AI. So search engine optimization, or organic search, like you said, constitutes a huge part of the internet. And of course, is the best part of the internet, because if you have organic traffic, you have a business, especially if you focus in a vertical. And for people listening to us, so everything about search engine is the way you bring certain keywords to go to your website and to create a call to action. It might be e-commerce to sell a product, or it might be just for selling your content, or just to reach your articles. And this is a big thing, because from big corporations, from anyone needs this. Even Google needs this sometimes to drive traffic for some of their websites. So the industry has been going through a lot of transformations, let's put it that way. And at the moment, we are in a massive transformation, because with the web, or the internet, as we speak, it has the web, the apps, and then the social media, which integrates search as well. And now we have as well chatbots that have special ChatGPT. Hundreds of millions of people right now engage as well. So how do you see the present stage of the internet when it comes to search engine optimization and the relationships that you build with clients? Because it's increasing more difficult. For instance, I remember to speak with the director of one of the major agencies in the world, and they were divided. Okay, should we build SEO for Google? Should we build SEO and business and e-commerce for Facebook? Because they control most of the internet. But now we have AI, like you mentioned, that is as well emerging. So I'd like to hear your views. How do you see this as an industry expert?
Yeah, so I mean, there's always disruption in the world of SEO. That's a constant. Is that we will always be facing disruption in some way, shape, or form. I guess the greatest current disruption that we're seeing is around what's called search generative experience from Google, or SGE, where you're seeing an LLM placed above the fold, answering your queries, certain queries anyway, So it tends not to be ones where there's navigational, for instance, where you're typing in a brand name and you know what brand you want, and the service results from that brand. That's not the kind of thing where an LLM is going to be particularly useful. But for informational queries, yes, they can be very helpful in that area. But I think Google's struggling on lots of fronts. I think what's fairly clear is that, to me anyway, we're at the top of that, maybe at the end of that hype cycle now, where Google just needed to rush something out the door to meet Bing's answer to chatbots, which was using ChatGPT. It's fairly clear that hasn't done anything for them in terms of helping usage or delivering a better experience for users. And certainly what we're seeing from Google more recently in experiments that they're doing is that they're giving less real estate to the search generative experience. So I think we're starting to see the end of that hype cycle now, where chatbots were going to take over the business of search. It's not what users want, and certainly users don't trust LLMs, and rightly so. They still want to seek out organic results, and there's still very much an area to play in for businesses of all shapes and sizes there, from core organic, and I don't see that changing anytime soon. I do see that there are companies like ours who are, I'll give an example. Back in Q4 of 2022, we were already talking about how do we leverage AI to essentially annotate our human intelligence rather than, take away from anything we're doing. How do we use it as an assistant to the kind of things that we're doing already? And for me, it was never really about, whether or not it was going to help our labor costs. It was more about, can we do a better job with some of these tools? And we're finding, yes, that there's certain elements of AI that we can utilize and leverage that helps us do a better job. But we're fairly rigorous about the way that we test these tools, and make sure that if it's not doing a better job than humans are currently doing, that it doesn't replace or try and assist what we're doing already. An example of this would be, I'll give you one example of this. We're about to launch this to the public, but we've been testing a tool which corroborates the recommendations that we make to our clients. So when we're writing an email, for instance, and we're making a recommendation, we have a tool which uses a knowledge base and an LLM to check the recommendation and provide accurate citations for that recommendation as well. It's essentially corroborating the recommendations of our professionals. And that I think is incredibly powerful. I think it gives our customers greater confidence. It gives our team greater confidence as well that the recommendations they're giving are corroborated from our own data and third-party data as well. And that's the sort of thing that we would probably go ahead, or we're 90% certain we're going to go ahead and make that available to the wider market. So there are definitely things, there are ways that we're using AI to help the business. I know that we certainly use things like natural language processing and entity extraction, saliency. We use BigQuery for data sets as well. And there's all kinds of ways that we leverage technology to help support us. But we're still ultimately a human-driven business, and our customers want to deal with humans. They don't want to deal with chatbots and LLMs. So we will always be a human-driven business. And agencies that I think focus on that human intelligence are always going to do a lot better than agencies who are trying to productize their offering and scale it in that way to reduce overhead. So yeah, we're definitely taking the approach that and I always say this, the team, we're in the business of relationships thinly disguised as SEO. I think anybody who's in business, in a service business, is in the business of human relationships. That's the first and foremost thing that you need to focus on. And then the delivery of what you do is has to be at a high standard, but your human relationship side of things has to be of the highest standard. Have to have a great service offering. So yeah, that's where we're focused at the moment. I don't see any particular threats, as I say, to core organic search or the way that core organic search is delivered in the short to medium term. Longer term, who knows? I mean, I tend to not worry about things that I can't see past a year on. Yeah, we're not seeing any particular threats in that area. We are seeing Google doing a lot better job of understanding what good looks like on the web. I would say the boom in SEO in the early days was really people playing into Google's technology curve and how weak they were at web spam in the early days. So, the early days of SEO was really about spamming search engines. There's no other way to describe it. And that's what I practiced. I was a web spammer, and it was incredibly effective in the early days of Google in their infancy. But as their technology curve has improved and algorithmically they've improved and they've leveraged AI to help them improve in that area, then the process of SEO has become more complex and requires greater investment than ever before, particularly on the content side of things. So, you really need to be producing content genuinely for users nowadays. And there are very subtle nuances with that. I mean, if you're in the reviews space, if you're doing product reviews, for instance, then experience becomes a real factor. It's part of something called EEAT, for instance, where your experience of having used that product becomes something that Google wants to see to help you rank for it. So yeah, there's all kinds of subtleties and different algorithms at play for different queries. But yeah, nothing I would say fundamentally is going to change about the way that we interact with search engines or search engines interact with us. Yeah.
Well, thank you so much. So just for people listening to us, and I want to touch this for my next question. So the global search engine optimization service market size in 2021 stood, this is numbers from Global Newswire and different areas, stand at $46.7 billion. And it's set to reach $237 billion by 2030, which is a growing CAGR of 17.6%. So of course the numbers change according to different sources, but this is an interesting one and very important for people listening to us. And of course, Simon is a global leader on this. There are around 360 agencies that are just specialized in SEO around the world. And in general, around 1,349 listed in SEMrush offering SEO parts. Of course, probably this doesn't list China, which is a very different market. And I know that in China, the number of agencies on the thousands. So from this experience, and you touch a lot of fantastic things, especially on the part of the AI, and I have a couple of questions. But before going there, let's go to the basics of SEO and all the education you're doing on this. Because one of the challenges I found out, both teaching digital marketing in Copenhagen Business School and even here in London, and with a lot of students that I had, is definitely there's a massive, I would say, lack of digital knowledge in general. And that's a big, for me, very worrying system because most of the universities don't teach anything on this. So what we're talking here probably will be rocket science for a lot of people, even in my audience that is quite technology savvy, because there's no education on this area. So you've been focused a lot in education. So you guys created an academy, you created a lot of programs, and even your tools are open to the industry at large. And of course, you are a B Corp organization as well. So tell us about this work on education. And as well, for people listening to us, and I really try to make this podcast as well a learning element, how people can use this for their jobs. And I'm not talking just, of course, SEO professionals. I'm sure those ones, they have to be the best in this, but general people that can learn and the importance of search engine optimization, organic search for them.
Yeah, I think if you're wanting to just get to grips with the fundamentals, there's a really great guide from Google themselves. There's no need to wear a tinfoil hat on that one. It genuinely is really, really good. We're called the Google Search Engine Optimization Starter Guide. And that's something that before you go to any depth anywhere else, I would start there. But yes, we offer free education, particularly around technical SEO training. the idea behind making education free from our side, obviously it's not free for us, there's a huge cost to doing these courses, is really first and foremost about trying to elevate the standards in the industry. So if we can bring the standards of the industry up, then that helps our business as well as everybody else's business as well. So, SEO, where we have the poor practitioners out there, and there are lots of poor practitioners out there, that doesn't just hurt them, that hurts us as well as a business and as an industry. So yes, you're right, there are thousands of agencies out there, but there are very few who are practicing SEO well, I would say. There are still very bad practitioners out there who are doing a great business, doing SEO badly. So doing SEO well is what we do, and it's our job to try and help others to also understand how we do SEO well. And so we make the education available for free. Doesn't matter if you're a competitor or not. If you're a competitor, we really want you to be doing the course as well. We want you to be understanding the Blue Array way and the right way of doing SEO. So that's sort of first and foremost why we do it. Secondary reason, it definitely helps us with things like recruitment, for instance. So, if somebody's done the Blue Array Academy, they've got an affinity with the business and probably someone we want to hire, actually. So if you've gotten through the academy and you've really enjoyed it and want to start practicing, we have junior positions available at the agency, and that would be a good route into the agency, I would say, from coming from no experience to having done the Google Search Engine Optimization Starter Guide. You do your technical SEO foundations, and then you do your SEO manager training. We would definitely entertain an interview with you. And then I guess another element of this would be it's good for our marketing as well. People who tend to do our courses, again, will have an affinity with the business and may, if they're making decisions in the future about agencies they'd like to employ, think about Blue Array. Would be one of the foremost agencies, I would say, if they've done the course, to be thinking about utilizing. So it's sort of it's a triple win for us. So I would say that it's a really great tool from that point of view, and one that we'll continue to invest in as well. Make sure it's continually updated and the content's good.
Oh, thank you. And we'll put the links to the courses you've been doing. And I think this part of the education and this kind of professional education, because there's the level of professional education, but as well the conscious of understanding these things, because it's key for everyone. So in terms of the work you've been doing, so you mentioned the work that you're doing in terms of integrating new AI tools into the pipeline of your areas. And as well, you introduced a concept of consulgency, a term that you trademarked that characterizes the unique fusion of consultancy and agency. So tell us about that, because I think this is a key element, because in the end of the day, you touch one thing. Everyone that is in business is in the relationships business, point one, but then there's the expertise, and you need to know where it is your technical expertise, your agency if you're selling products, or consultancy, which is different. So I would like to hear from you about this.
We are in the business of relationships thinly disguised as SEO, and that's very much a focus for us. So we have a lady called Lucy Wood who heads up our customer success. She's making sure that the relationship with our team and the customer is at a very high level, that we're delivering on promises, so ultimately we've got to deliver return on investment to our customers, and we have senior team members who make sure that the strategy is good, that they tactically is being executed on well. So I would say the way that we deliver the consultancy is multi-layered. So we don't have, the way that most agencies operate, which to me always didn't make any sense, was that you've got this customer relationship manager who will shuffle paperwork backwards and forwards. So they'll sort of, they'll listen to the client and then to interpret those needs into tickets that then go off to the team to execute on. And then the person who is in the middle, that intermediary, they're not a subject matter expert. They don't necessarily need to be, but they're just sort of a middle person that shuffles paperwork backwards and forwards. Like I say, I hated that model. I think that model makes no sense at all. And from what I was hearing from our customers, they don't want that either. You know, they were coming to us saying, we've had that model before. We don't want that. We want to be talking to experts in the field. So that's what we do, is we put our experts at the coalface with our customers, but we provide support for them in terms of someone who can oversee that customer relationship side of things, someone who can oversee things from a strategy point of view, make sure that everything's on target, that we're driving towards what we call North Star goals for them. So when you're working with Blue Array, you're working with a multitude of different people, possibly unknowingly, because you've got one sort of single point of contact, but they're supported in all sorts of ways. So they deliver a level of consultancy that you would expect from a management consultant, for instance, but they have the backing of an agency behind them, which is and the agency is important. They allow companies to be able to scale, or we can scale with their needs. So, for instance, if they suddenly need 50 content writers, we can make that happen. If they, something technically breaks on the website and they need us to focus in that area, we've got an army of people that can help in that area. So that's what I meant by consulgency, is you've got that one-to-one relationship that you expect to have with a consultant, with a subject matter expert, but behind them you've got the scale of an agency. There'd be the ability to deliver on whatever needs you might have.
And this is the key element, how you take it forward and how we work, because I believe the challenge right now in any business, I would say, I love to quote the book from Reid Hoffman, The Startup of You. Each of us is a startup, whatever you're working for, a company and so forth. But agencies are still dynamic and more important than ever to match everything happening with the fast shifting of companies and so forth, and how you take it forward. So I want to touch you touched AI. Okay, so and you touched some of the tools you're using with AI, but I want to touch bigger in terms of the vision. So as someone that has been in the industry for a long time, the internet is going through a much bigger revolution right now. There's what we call the Web3, and there's what we call right now, of course, all the generative AI, and this is bringing a lot of disruption to everyone. Okay, of course, there's always a quote, and that's something that I adapt myself, is that, okay, at the moment there's only two kind of jobs: jobs that tell machines what to do, or jobs that have machines telling them what to do. So from this part of managing people, and as well looking at trends, and for instance, you have building tools for SEO experts, but how you see in general how, because in the end of the day, when you search on AI, if you search in ChatGPT, you are creating a prompt. So a prompt, in the end of the day, if you look at the search engine principles, is as well something that has to be optimized for a prompt. And as well, at the moment, really, I am having right now productivity 10 times faster because of ChatGPT and a lot of other tools, from music to editing for project management, to even giving guidelines to the members of the team that have less capacity to think for themselves. So do you see this kind of shift of the internet right now to have really an immersive internet? And of course, there's the metaverse that will be as well physical and spatial. Do you want to touch about this, but from the angle of search engine optimization, UI, UX, because you mentioned, of course, in your agency, you're working with big brands, and as well, how we can actually pass through the barrier of the hype and really, and that's what I love about you, there's no bullshit, go directly to the point of how you create this kind of end results. Because like you said, and I'm actually a victim of a lot of the hype, is that you can have all the hype but not getting any results. And this is a big risk for everyone, especially in the present day time of continuous disruption.
To deal with the immediate needs of or the immediate opportunities that AI presents, we've done a pretty good job of leveraging that opportunity. So again, I'll talk about, every year, final quarter of the year, I come up with a strategy for the year ahead, and then we need to execute on that strategy. So for us, We knew we were entering into a recessionary period, and EBITDA is something you need to focus on as a business owner. That's your operating profit, essentially. It's still an important factor, even though, yes, we definitely always put people first. But with the way that I thought we could best deal with the recessionary period is to start to really focus on automating where we can. And when you're in an agency, that's usually an easy opportunity. You tend to timesheet everything, so you have a good understanding of where you're spending your time as an agency, and you can start to look at those processes and go, well, that looks like something that's ripe for automation. So that's something that we can focus on. So I think it's about, and again, you've got different resourcing costs on an agency. You've got more senior resource at a higher salary than more junior resource, and you've got to figure out what makes most sense for you to execute on. So that's the way I approached it anyway, from, how do I, from my business's point of view, leverage AI to help automate some of those things that we're currently doing, but only, again, we would only allow those things to be implemented where it's doing a better job than humans are, with that particular process, or it's providing assistance to humans that is making their output better. So, yeah, that's in terms of investment, the kind of areas that we're focused on at the moment. And this has been very much an investment year for us. I don't see that huge amounts of disruption is going to come to core organic search, as I've said. I think what we're seeing is that, certainly from testing that I've seen coming out of the US, where search generative experience is available in Google, that users are tending to skip over that and go back to the organic results. Organic results have always had a high trust associated with them. They know that Google is presenting them with the best results for their query. So you're typing in a query, and your search engine is giving you what they believe to be the best result for that query. LLMs don't do that. We know that LLMs don't do that. They're good at summarization. They're good at presenting what may or may not be factual as being factual, and they tend to be prone to hallucination, etc. We know the challenges with them. But ads are another story. Ads are, we know that, users know as well that they're pay for placement, that they're not necessarily the best results for their query. So users are always going to seek out the best result for their query. And we've got to make sure that as an agency, we're there to service that particular query for our customers. Whether that's through Facebook, or whether that's through TikTok and their search, or through Google, users are going to want to query for information and receive results back. So we know that that's not going to change over the years. The way that users interface with search may change, but and Google are trying to get there by making search more conversational. So, the way that people are using, for instance, devices like Siri, for instance, tends to be quite binary at the moment. You ask a query, you get a response, but conversational search would be taking that user on a journey where they're discovering more than they may have expected through things like serendipity. So, can you take a user on a serendipitous journey through conversational search to arrive at somewhere unexpected that pleases them? I think those are big questions that the search engines are trying to answer at the moment. And we're not there yet. We're a long way off that. But that's the future of search from my point of view anyway, is that it needs to go on that conversational journey. And then how does that conversational journey happen? Because, are you wanting and willing it to be an audible journey, for instance? Do you want to speak at a device? So how do you want to input with a device? So they're all things for future concerns. But for me, fundamentally, it's really just about, can we give our customers the algorithmic advantage in search and the journey of search and the journey of discovery that allows them to still be number one commercially in whatever it is they do in terms of products or services. So yeah, nothing fundamentally changes for me from that point of view. Well, by the way, we do all sorts of weird and wonderful things in search. One of them is supermarket search engine optimization, which most people wouldn't even consider. Is that when you go to a website like Waitrose or Asda or Tesco, for instance, or Carrefour, you're querying for products. Well, there are algorithms at play there, and that's the kind of stuff where we can help service. So we have in the past, for instance, helped clients to service up their baby foods, for instance, for more generic queries, within those kind of search engines. So as long as there's algorithms at play, then we it's our job to figure out what is it that those algorithms are looking for, and then, offer our customers that advantage.
Yeah, and I love the way you put it, because this is really important, these details. It's like you're solving a problem and you go forward. And I think this is probably a lot of the challenge that everyone is facing in their business. Is sometimes people are all over the place and they really need to go on this precision, because the technology is evolving and is going to continue evolving, like it's been always in the past, just right now faster. But as well, these tools are fantastic if you use them well. So I know that I passed 1 hour, so I want to be respectful of your time, and there's a lot of interesting things we've been talking. So I want to touch two last things. So you've been angel investor and advisor to companies like I mentioned, clickmechanics.com, Bakedin, Sonic Jobs, and SafeBuy. And at the same time, we as well have been mentored startup accelerators, some of the top in the world, like 500 Startups, Mass Challenge, Guarda, Tech Hub, and so forth. So tell us a bit about that work, because of course this is a fantastic work, and I know that is critical for everyone. And I always tell everyone, please get mentors, please engage. But it's something that's I don't think there's enough conscious of how important this is for anyone, especially young people, but as well professionals, because the biggest successful people in the world have coaches. Whatever you are, a football superstar, or whatever you are, a tennis, or you ever have a business, even people like Ray Dalio or presidents have their own coaches, and people forget that. So I would like to touch that part of your work. And as well, I know that this creates a lot of value, but as well, it's very time consuming and it's about people.
Yeah, I mean, it's like you say, that there really is, there isn't an educational focus on SEO, so academia has never realized the importance that it has in the commercial world. So, we work with multi-billion dollar turnover companies where SEO is 60% of all of their acquisitions. So, and there's lots of companies out there who have a big dependency on SEO to deliver to billions in revenue for them. So I don't know why it doesn't get paid as much service as it needs to within the world of academia, but that is the reality of it. And certainly in the world of startups, it's a real problem, because it tends to be that these startups burn huge amounts of budget on paid search without thinking about the opportunity that organic has to deliver. So for us, getting involved in things like Mass Challenge or the Mayor's International Business Program is really about just getting in front of those startups and going, are you aware of the opportunity you have from organic search? And if not, let's give you some steers on how to start that journey, so you can start to see the benefits of organic search to your organization. And maybe they'll come back to us in a few years and say, and this does happen, we've actually seen incredible results from SEO, and we want to use you guys to take us to that next level. So it does quite well from us from a business development point of view, but actually it's also about letting these startups know, that you don't have to burn, your runway on paid search. There are other ways for you to get traffic and acquisitions other than the paid route. But yeah, they've always got hungry investors who want to see very quick returns. So that's always a challenge. SEO does take time, and that's the reality of things, is that, starting from scratch, you've got to be looking at 6 to 12 months typically before you see results. So that's always a bit of a challenge with SEO. But yeah, mentoring in that sense. I also do a little bit of angel investing, what's called SES or EIS here in the UK, which is a way to tax efficiently invest in businesses. But I only invest in businesses that I can see that there's an SEO play to be had, that I can only assess businesses from an SEO lens. So for me, it's about, is there the opportunity to really grow this business through SEO? And if there is, then it's something I probably want to invest in. And so those are the kind of investments I typically do anyway, is ones where I can see that SEO lens playing out for them.
Oh, amazing, and congratulations. That work is critical, and all of these areas are more important than ever. So it's been a pleasure. I want to thank you for this, first of all, so much direct approach towards these things, and the wealth of knowledge that you share with us. I'm very interested as well to check the case studies that you guys have and share it more with our audience. We're going to put all the links. Any last things that you want to just share? Any things you mentioned about the new software, the AI, any other things you want to share as a last note for the audience?
Yeah, I mean, for those from the audience who want to maybe get early access to some of the things that we're doing with AI, we've got a domain that went up just a few days ago. So it's askseo.ai. And again, that's where we're using an LLM to corroborate the recommendations that our team are making, but it's also something that perhaps in your professional industry could be helpful as well. So we're really excited about it as a tool. We've been using it, and it's got great potential. And I think it's a great way for AI to support human intelligence, is, as I say, corroborating and citing professional service providers' recommendations. So yeah, askseo.ai, there's an opportunity to sign up there for beta testing. Aside from that, I just wish everybody all the success out there with whatever your dreams and ambitions are. Just be laser focused on what it is you're trying to achieve, and you will get there.
Thank you so much. It's been an honor, and really excited, and congratulations for all the achievements you did. I wish you as well the best success, continuous success.
Thank you, Dinis. It's been a pleasure. Thanks a lot for your time.
Thank you.